here we are on our cell site again. The next thing that I want to build on the cell site is this book division. It has a little orange stripe and a book in it and some text. And to kind of illustrate how we're going to do that, I'd like to show you we are going to first add a rectangle, and we're going to give it a gray border. And what we'll do is just make that rectangle 80% width of the page or its parent container, so it will be 80% wide. And the next thing we'll do is we will add another division, and we will make it 100 pixels tall and 10 pixels wide. Then we will add our book image, and then finally the text. And what's going to make them go in this order is we're going to float them left. So we're going to force everything to flow over to the left and stack up against each other, going from left to right. That's what the float left will do for us. So let's get started in Dreamweaver. And I'm just going to hit return, and I'm going up to my insert menu, layout objects, div tag. I'm going to add myself a new div, and I will just call it div book. So this is my book division, and I will need to go into the code and add several items. I'm just going to get rid of what's there now. And the next thing that I'm going to add is another division. And I want to make sure that I ID it, and I'm going to call this one div orange. So as you could probably guess, this is going to be my orange division little stripe, and I'm not going to put anything in it. It's just going to be empty. I open it and then I close it. Next, I'm going to add my image, and I will do so by just dragging my book image right into my page. And you probably need to put your alt text here, book, and I want to make sure that I ID it. So I'm going to ID my book, and I'm going to call it image book. Okay, and then I'm going to add another division, and this will be for my text. Okay, not what I meant to do. ID. And I'm going to call this div book text. And inside of it, I will put all of my text. So I'm going to go out to my Wikipedia cell site and grab all of this text and copy it. Come back over to Dreamweaver, and I'm going to edit, paste special, and I want to make sure that I paste the text only. So I have the text only option selected, and then since I opened that div, I want to make sure that I close it. Okay, and there's my text. And I want to look on this page and see this first sentence. This article ends in verification, and then removed, and then January 2010 is by itself. So verification, let me go there. So basically I want to insert a break after the word verification and a break after the word removed. Okay, and then I'm also going to do something else. I'm going to do something called a span around the text. Alright, what I'm doing here is creating a bunch of containers. I'm going to call this span with an ID of text. You know, you got to ID everything. You need to name everything. text text 01. Okay, that should work, and it's going all the way to here just before this break. And then the second line, I'm going to go ahead and put a span around it as well, and I'm going to ID it text 02. I'm just giving these generic names, and in front of this one I will span it as well. So everything's going to have its own unique ID. TXT text 03. I don't think that I put my closing span there. I didn't. So there it is. Let's look at the design mode, design view, and see what we have. So I've created this whole thing here, which is a division with some other divisions nested in it. So there's some value here in learning that you can nest all of these divisions. Now, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to come up to the top, and I have now got something called, with an ID of div book. That's my main division container, div book. So I'm going to start some rules for it. One of the things that I want to do is give it a height of 100 pixels. Then I want to give it a width as well, and I want to make it 80% wide, 80% of the page wide. And since I do that, since I'm making this 80% wide, I want to center it. So what I can do is set the margins for the top at being 0 pixels. And then for the left and right, I'm going to choose auto. And let's see what that does. Now you can see that my division, because it's auto on the left and right margins, will center itself. Okay, it still looks pretty ugly inside. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. Dreamweaver can't display that very well. That's okay. The next thing that I want to get at is this orange division. Okay, so for the orange division, I'll come up to the cascading styles sheet and type div orange. And I open and close. I always do that by habit so I don't forget. Div orange, I want this to have a width of 10 pixels. And then I want it to have a height of 100 pixels to match its container division. Okay, and then I want it to have a background color of, I'm just going to use the color here, orange. And let's see what happens. Oh, and I also want to do one more thing. I want to start stacking everything to the left, so I'm going to float left. And let's see what happens. And all of a sudden, I have this orange stripe, 10 pixel wide, 100 pixels tall. So let's handle the book next. So this book right here, if I go up, let's see, I gave it an ID. It's called image book. Image book. So I'm going to get at it, or use the selector called image book. And one of the first things that I'm going to do is float it to the left. Okay, and then I'm going to add some margins to it, and I'll show you why. Let's hit design. Even though it's floated left, it sticks to the very top left corner inside of its division, so that's not desirable. So what we'll do is we'll set all 4 margins here. Margin for the top, how about 1em? The margin for the right, 1em. Oops. Margin bottom, 1em. And for the left, 1em. So we'll just start there and we'll see how it looks. Okay, so it's starting to develop some space around it. That's good. That's a desirable thing that we want. Okay, what's next? Let's get at the text. see if we can get the text worked out. Look at that. So I have a division here on line 47 called div book text. Div book text. So I will float it to the left, and that might work. Let's see what happens. Yep, and now all I have to do is set the margins for it. Margin. In fact, I'm just going to copy this line. We'll see what happens, and then we can adjust accordingly from there. Looks decent to me. Now all I have to do is play with, for this book division, the height. And I also need to style this text over here. Okay, let's look at the original Wikipedia cell site, and you can see there are three different styles here. Okay, just regular text with bold, and then this smaller one, and then this small italicized. So the reason that I put these spans in is so that I can get at those individual pieces of text. So all this right here is that first line of text, and guess what? I've ID'd it. Text txt text 01. So that first piece of text, I can do something with it. And the second one, I can do something with it. I'm going to use that one as the example. txt text 02. So let me come up here and use pound txt text 02 as my selector. And these are my names. If these names don't make sense to you, you can code this up however you want. This is really an example of how to get this done. Okay, if you come up with a different method and it's simpler and easier for you, that's great. More power to you. Alright, I am going to choose a font family of probably something like Arial, and I want a font size a little bit smaller, so let's try 10 pixel and let's see how that looks. Okay, so that might just actually work for me. And let me go up a little bit in the book division. Why don't I just go ahead and set the font family here at the higher level for this whole division. I'll just do Arial from there. And that way, when I come down here, I don't have to do it. Okay. And January is going to be the same. So here's what I'll do. January was in a text 3 division, so I can just copy and paste and change that to 3. My font size is 10, and my font style is italic. And let's see how it looks. Okay, so you can see how I can start to get my text worked up. Now notice there's some spacing between each line of text. Well, look at what I can do. I can, let's say for text 2, put the margin top at 5 pixels. Let's just try it. And the margin bottom I'll just set at 5 pixels as well. Okay, and you may not see it here, but this should work for you when it goes live. So this is a good start on how to get the book division done, and now you'll just play with the margin around the book until you get this book exactly where you want it, and the same for the text. And then we will move on to the section at the right with all the images.